It's very exciting to talk to the two of you. You've been trailblazers in your respective industries. I don't want to presume that the audience doesn't know the work that the two of you do as individuals or your organizations, but just to set the stage this evening, very briefly, if you could talk to us about what it is that is essentially your passion and your organizations, and what it is that's led you to really become an agent of change.
In Akshaya Patra, we started about 19 years ago, providing meals to children in government schools. You know, the government is spending crores of rupees on the uniform, textbooks, school, teacher's salary, all of that. If the child is hungry, the child will not have a learning experience. So basically, it's a very simple concept. You invest small amount of money and provide food to the children so that all their other expenditure the government is making becomes more productive. So with this simple thought, we started feeding 1,500 children here in Bangalore, covering about 5 schools. And our model is to set up a centralized kitchen, cook large quantity of food and transport them to the schools. And today, we are feeding 17.7 lakh children all over the country. We are in 43 locations. We have 43 kitchen locations. We are in 12 states in the country. Our mission is that no child in India should be deprived of education because of hunger. That's the problem.
Dr. Shetty?
India will become the first country in the world to dissociate healthcare from affluence. India will prove to the world that the wealth of the nation has nothing to do with the quality of healthcare its citizens can enjoy. And it's going to take not 50 years, 100 years to achieve. It will happen within the next 8 to 10 years. Why I am so optimistic it will happen is predominantly because two major things, major shifts are happening. One is government decision to launch National Medical Commission to liberate medical, nursing, paramedical education. That will dramatically change how the doctors are trained. Nurses and medical technicians are trained. The second major wave which will transform the healthcare is digitizing healthcare. Because we believe once the healthcare is digitized, once the paper and pens are taken away from the hands of doctors, healthcare will become safer for the patients, it will become accessible, and it will become affordable.
Sure. So I want to use today's session as a masterclass of sorts for our audience. If you could talk about essentially why it is you do what you do. Why is it essential that you do what you do? India has very often been called as a lab for social innovation. If someone was to become an agent of change here in the country, from your own personal experiences, both of you gentlemen, if you could say, this is what perhaps you should be looking at.
Why we do this, why we are, what inspires us. You see, Akshay Patra has taken me to many places in our country. What I have seen is, in our country, there is a lot of talent. It is just that the children have to get the right encouragement for that talent to blossom. And we may have complex problems in our country, but we have good people, talented people who can solve the problems. That's the optimism that we have. So if children are well fed, good nutritious food, and they are well educated, and they can do wonders, as Indians are doing wonders all over the country. This is a great asset of our country, people. This thought that we can make our, actually we have problems in our country, definitely. And so if we solve all these problems, we will have a wonderful country, and people can do that. We have talent. That confidence, that is what actually makes us go on with this program.
Where did your conviction come from, Dr. Shetty?
If a solution is not affordable, it is not a solution. It's pointless us talking about developments in healthcare if people can't afford it. But the beauty of all the changes what we have made is that today our group is about 15% of the heart surgery done in India is done by us. And we are doing these surgeries at fraction of what it costs in US and Europe. Like, for you to understand the numbers, all the hospitals in England put together under National Health Service, every year they do about 30,000 heart surgeries. Last year we did 17,000 heart surgeries at a price which is rounding off figure of what UK government spends. So essentially, we are going to show to the world that healthcare need not be expensive. Because we believe that today an Indian doctor, he is reduced to put a price tag on human life every time he interacts with the patient. That's very unfair. When there is a patient sitting in front of you, the discussion should be only about getting the patient better rather than how much he can afford to pay.
Which brings me to my next question, and that's the role of technology. And both of you speak very often about how technology has changed your industry. Dr. Shetty, perhaps even 7-8 years ago, no one would have spoken about healthcare and technology going hand in hand, but today it's become the norm. But where did your conviction come from? Because you started it at a point when there wasn't much being done in that space.
I believe that within the next 5 years, software will make smarter diagnosis than doctors. Within 10 years, it will become legally mandatory for the doctors to get the second opinion from the software before starting the treatment. I give this time frame as 5 years and 10 years. It's not really the case. It's going to happen much sooner. I give the time frame so that my professional colleagues won't shoot me down. But this is the reality.
Speaking of technology, I also want to broad base that question for you, Shri Chanchalapati, and talk about the role of innovation. And Akshay Patra is Akshay Patra because of the innovation that you've seen. You've built machines specifically for each of the food processes that you have. In the south, your machines, for instance, are very different from what you have in the north. And all of that is innovation that you've done in-house, in your kitchens. What has that journey been like for you?
You see, in our country, we are a very big country, large number of people. And if you want to make any impact, you must do it on big scale. For achieving scale, two important things is what we have learned. One is we have to work with the government, because government has large number of has resources and is actually dealing with large problems. So if we work with the government, it gives us an opportunity. And the second important thing is to achieve scale is use of technology. So this is inevitable. It is part and parcel. We have to use appropriate technology, something that's appropriate to our country, our situation. Like you mentioned, we started in Bangalore, and it was simple rice, sambar, and curds, and some vegetables. That was the meal that we were giving. Then we were invited to Rajasthan. We went to Jaipur, and we had to provide their roti. And we started feeding about 10,000 children, and we had to give 2 rotis, 20,000 rotis to be made in about 3 hours' time, and it was a Herculean task. We had so many women rolling, and we had men, and then they would have their hands burned, and sometimes in the summer, and it was, so we had to look for something. And then we found somebody who was making someone had a papad making machine, but papad is different, roti is different from papad. But then there were very innovative people. We worked with 3 different people who had these kind of thing, and we said that we will invest, you convert this into a roti making machine the way we wanted it. 2 of them failed, 1 succeeded, and he made a machine which could make 10,000 rotis per hour. And then in the next few years, we worked on it further and improved it. Today, we have machines which can make 40,000 hot, crisp, fulka rotis in an hour.
That definitely deserves applause. I've seen videos of this machine, and I think it's about 6 feet long, if I'm not mistaken.
It's about 30 feet long.
30, okay. I've got my numbers way off, but congratulations on that, and that's definitely an excellent example of how innovation is changing what you're doing. Data also shows that 60% of all contributions which are coming in for philanthropic causes and for social good are coming from individuals. There's not much else that's being done. Do you think that's a good model to perhaps have, given how closely you work when it comes to giving back to society at your organization?
See, in the area of healthcare, I believe that we should have a sustainable business model which shouldn't be dependent on the charity. One-time charity to start some initiative is fine, but sustaining is a challenge. See, 15 years ago, we came up with a concept of Yashaswini Micro Health Insurance, where we thought if every farmer paid 5 rupees per month, one day he decides not to smoke, and he saves 5 rupees and pays for the health insurance. That should pay for the cost of any surgery if he requires, including heart operation. And people laughed at us, but the government of Karnataka had the maturity to accept the scheme, and they launched it. First year, we had 1.7 million farmers paying 5 rupees per month. Subsequently, we had 4 million farmers paying 5 rupees per month. At the end of 12 or 13 years, 1.5 million farmers had varieties of surgeries in one of the 400 network hospitals, and 1.5 lakh farmers had a heart operation just by paying 5 rupees per month. If we can collect, if we can collect 20 rupees from each mobile phone subscriber every month, people spend 150, 200 rupees just to speak on the phone. If you collect 20 rupees from every person who is using a mobile phone, we can cover the catastrophic illnesses of every citizen of this country.
Absolutely fascinating, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us here on stage. Thanks for your time.
After the break, we get you an insightful discussion with filmmaker Shekhar Kapur, Anand Maligawar and Ayyappa Masagi on India's water woes.
Topic that affects us every single morning when we wake up, turn on the tap, and there's nothing. Let's talk about the very real crisis of water. We're sitting here in Bengaluru, so you'll understand what I'm talking about. Anyone here from Chennai will understand what I'm talking about. If not today, you will understand in 10 years from now, because the report says in 10 years from now, there are at least 30 cities in our country which will be completely dry. We'll have no water. Irrespective of how much money we have, we will have to fight for something as basic as water. Start by asking you, how bad is the threat?
Today,
Is this real, what people are saying, this doomsday scenario?
in our opinion, in our experience, and since 30 years I'm in this field. Actually, ma'am, water is not a problem, rain is not a problem, only problem with attitude. Attitude is the main constraint to solve our water problem. So, in my 30-year journey, I see more than 9,000 locations.
What is the problem with attitude? That we don't realize how bad the crisis is?
Yes, but no one actually solve this problem. Attitude means community attitude, there both maybe bureaucrats' attitude, political attitude. Politicians' attitude is the main constraint I saw in my 30-year journey. Why? I am not personally telling. Since I told you 30 years, 9,000 locations, I implemented my systems in urban, industry, rural, agriculture. I am working in 13 states. Wherever I don't know, ma'am, that in some places people are actually facing excess water problem.
Can the government answer that question? Who does this water belong to? And now that the government has started this Jal Shakti ministry, will it have the desired results? Will it help? Because it's not just the fight between people. There's fight between states. You've got Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, despite the tribunal ruling, they refuse to share their water. Is the ministry going to be able to resolve this?
Nobody will want to share water because it's now becoming a political question. The people that are willing to share water with a state that doesn't have water will be running out of water themselves. It's not only between states, it's between urban and rural areas. What the urban areas are doing is wherever there's a concentration of people, obviously the water will flow there, so they're making rural areas thirsty. And they take all the water from the rural areas, bring it to the city because that's where it's needed and that's where the water concentration is. But the question about who does the water belong to, you know what? If we knew this would happen, it would have been a constitutional question. It would have been in our constitution. It's a really important question. Who do the glaciers belong to? Who do the rivers belong to?
Correct. So can the government step in, Anand, to decide that question? Is the Jal Shakti Ministry going to help?
Before answering your question, I would like to mention one thing. This forum is about economy, right? Environment is reflection of your economy in the mirror, what you see exactly today. You know, what environment is there, that is just reflecting as a GDP or something else, something else. Say, few examples I tell you. For environment, water is basic, which is a platform for that. When you don't have a concern, when people are doing it for shake up doing it, and we will land up in such a situation that, and tomorrow you are talking about 2 trillion, 3 trillion, 5 trillion, 10 trillion, okay, you achieve about 20 trillion also. Okay, if you have a huge drastical change in the environment, you have a cascade effects, maybe more water also problem, less water also problem. Like just now you mentioned that after 10 years we will not have, not at 10 years, just 20 days back or 1 month back in a Chennai, you just see the scenario that we have a pipeline system for supplying gases, other stuff, petroleum products, everything. But we could able to, you know, provide a water in the trains. Which economy, which worldwide, which kind of advanced technology we are talking about? Basic human needs is good quality of the water, food and air. In spite of that, if we make it, you know, just for formality purpose. In fact, I seen Jal Shakti is happening and Jalamruta happening in Karnataka. Jalavarsha, it has been declared. If it is there in a Facebook, WhatsApp, in a social media, definitely it is a eyewash for the people. And the sufferer are not governments. Sufferer are every individual of this citizen. And as per the BBC World Report, it's not after 10 years, 2025, after this Cape Town, Bengaluru is supposed to become a drought city. Unfortunately, Chennai has become victim. Just see, because of just 1 week there were no water, hotels has been closed, companies has been laid off and all, then what kind of economy we are talking about?
But why do you say that this is an eyewash? To have a ministry for water, why is it an eyewash?
Yes, tell me, Jalamruta, Masgi also is there, I am also is there. We are in a Jalamruta committee, both are in a technical committee. Okay, we are both are in a WhatsApp group. You tell me where is the budget allocation, where they have did the work, what is going on.
Okay.
Okay, it is only for just shake off announcing that we are very serious alert, and you see the lakes and situations today, what is happening there?
But
1 crore, 2 crore rupees lakes, they are doing it in 1,500, 2,000 crores, then what kind of seriousness government has?
Okay, that is the other issue. You can look for solutions, but what does one do about the attitude? And this attitude issue is important because we saw it reflected in another critical problem we faced, which is open defecation. Then we had Swachh Bharat. You can make 1 million toilets, but you cannot take people into those toilets. So isn't that a similar problem with water as well? We can have abundant water, but what will stop 10 people from cannibalizing all that water and depriving the other 90?
You're absolutely right. It's an attitude issue. I mean, in the same areas, in certain urban areas, if you go into a slum and you watch the way water is given, it is actually taken in tankers from the local government and the local municipality, and then just see in the afternoon how people are fighting for half a bucket of water. Walk across the road, go to a 5-star hotel, walk across the road to a big house. There's water and you can run a shower for 24 hours and it won't stop. It's an attitude problem. Everything, yeah, absolutely. Water, air, these are attitude problems. And the gentleman that was just speaking, I'm so sorry, I can't see the names here, but he's absolutely right. He solved an attitude problem, but the fact is that we need to change everybody's attitude. It's not just the government. The government alone cannot do anything. It's people who waste water, people who don't see water as an issue. I remember I wanted to make this film on water 15 years ago, and I sat in the producer's office, and he said, I want to make a film on water, and he said, what's the problem? I said, the problem is that we're running out of water. He said, no, I get water in my taps 24 hours a day. It's awareness, it's attitude. You have to create that. So the solution to the water problem has to be not just from the government. It has to come from the community and the people and the individual.
Which sounds great, but Anand Maligawad, that's the thing. I mean, attitude changes can take years. And frankly, till the time that there is no repercussion, why should people change their attitude? If I can buy 3 tankers of water and I can afford to, why should I change my attitude? Why should I not use the shower and use a bucket? Do you think that it's time now that as a country which is staring at a water crisis, it's time to get in draconian measures?
See, basically, there are
Ration our water, and if somebody is stealing or wasting water, we start making them pay a price.
Yeah, there are two ways or two things of taking things right. One is the emotional way, and one is a scientific approach, the methodology, which we can take it forward. There are two things: community engagement, people participation, what you say, government participation, bureaucracy, everything, policy making, it's already there. In this country, not only water crisis is there, entire planet is facing water crisis problem. Not only country like India. Except 4 or 5 countries, they have abundant water, they will be under trouble sometime, right? We are just in a first queue. When it comes to emotional, when it comes to scientific and systematic approach, it has to be handled in a very, like people are talking about, we will going to spend about 6,000 crores on environmental project. They announce it. They should also talk about 46,000 crores, what way, sustainable way, and where is the maintenance and further. Say for example, people just throw numbers of planting 1 crore tree, 2 crore tree, right? This is a just sentimental issue. Like you just plant a tree, come back to your home, you achieve 1 crore, do you think it will going to help for the planet? That is the question. Because each plant, you need about 5 years times to take its own course, and it should become a self-sustainable. Until that, we will have to maintain.
Huge round of applause for the gentleman.